be scared of. They got the power to destroy this country. They don't need your protection. They need your accountability.
No food stamps in November. So I expect every church to have a food bank. If you go to a church and they don't have a food bank, now is the time to ask why.
I'm tired of struggling all of my fucking life. Oh my God, fuck. Can life just get fucking easy? Just for like a year, just for a little bit, you think at some point life is just supposed to be like better. You work your at every turn of your fucking life, there's another obstacle. Oh my God, please, please help us all. What the fuck is going on?
We're not feeding the babies we have. Why does the government want more? We're not feeding the babies we have. Why does the government want more? I know you're thinking, what's your statistic? Where's your proof that we're not feeding the babies we have? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that my toddler's daycare just opened a food bank in the fucking lobby? My toddler's daycare just opened a food bank in the fucking lobby because his classmates might not be able to eat. We got the government. Who's in charge of SNAP benefits? The government that's in charge of food. The government that decides where our fucking money is going to go is going to give $40 billion to Argentina. They're going to build a fucking ballroom to have big old gilded dances. They're going to send how much fucking money for missiles? But the babies we already got, we're not going to fucking feed. We already don't feed the babies. And the government's out here saying we're under-babied. We're not under-babied. We're underpaid. You want more babies? Fucking pay us. Give us the money to feed our fucking kids. Could you try that? Could you think that one through? Could you pull up one Excel spreadsheet that says pay the moms and dads and they'll fuck more? Who wants to fuck right now with these bills? Who wants to, huh? Who wants to nut and have it count? Right now, when any moment your fucking job can be taken by AI or because of some fucking tariff, because some psychopath from the Epstein plane decides on a willy-nilly whim that he's mad at Canada or some shit. Over and over again, I keep getting told, it's our fault. It's our fault that America's this way. Well, it's real fucking crazy. When I look at this government, with how much fucking money they make and how many fucking vacations they get to use, tell me how we don't get paid family leave. Tell me how the minimum wage at $7.25 just makes just enough sense. Have Dr. Oz of all fucking people stand next to RFK Jr. telling us that we're under-babied and we need to do work. Fuck you. Do your job.
Like, maybe we should be wiped off the face of the earth, white people.
Despite being a black person, I actually had a very similar experience to this creator. She's talking about how she learned more and more about slavery and began to feel horrified with her fellow white counterparts. My story is, I was raised in all white spaces. So I went to a white Christian private school. I went to a majority white high school. I just was in white spaces all the time. When I went to college and took my first world history lesson that actually taught about slavery and the genocide of the natives and all these other things that I had no idea about, I was in complete shock. And there's a lot to be said about parents, no offense to my parents, but there's a lot to be said about parents who allow their black kids to be raised in these all white spaces that shield them from the actual realities of the world. Leaving that class and then taking other Africana studies, narratives of slavery, things of that nature, I was horrified and frankly just avoided white people for a couple of years. I genuinely just couldn't deal with them. I was so in shock based on what I had learned. And so I'm making this video to ask if anyone else has had that experience where you were raised really sheltered or in white spaces and you just kind of didn't know about the actual horrors of what happened in America, and then to black people, that is. And then as an adult or a teenager, you find out and you're like, what the and you just have this crazy like feeling about white people for a while, or is that just me? Mind you, I'm also Caribbean, and not that we weren't enslaved, but I just think that in Black American households, perhaps there's just more emphasis on that type of history than in Jamaican and Caribbean households. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they just didn't, my parents just weren't talking about anything like that. I think that Jamaicans can sometimes try to align themselves with whiteness. Caribbean people giving you a name like Brittany, you know, and things of that nature to try to align you with that, because they see that as like their way out, essentially. Again, different convo, but back to the point. Has anybody else had that same shock and realization that, like, holy crap, like, I really didn't know anything about Black history, and it's actually quite atrocious.
Hello guys, welcome once again to the channel. I hope wherever you're watching, you're having a great time. Now, many white Americans voted for Trump thinking that he was going to shake up the entire establishment within the American government. And that was the main reason why they voted him. They thought that this guy is going to dismantle the system that we have always distrusted over the years. Yet, if they look at what is happening currently, they are wondering whether they made the right choice or it was a mistake that they can never go back from. Many white Americans currently, with the longest government shutdown that is coming to an end, they're realizing that Trump was a con. He lied to them. When it comes to looking at how economic prospects were supposed to be bolstered, that has not happened. Many white Americans are crying of how Trump is dipping them into the ocean of poverty. Many are even wondering how Black people are able to survive this kind of economic turmoil that is happening in America. I've come across many clips of white Americans complaining and speaking about this scenario. I want you to take a listen to what they have to say, then I shall come back in the end with my commentaries.
Nothing. Nothing to say. There's nothing I would say, or, I mean, he's not going to change. My food stamps just got taken, so I'm in a bit of a crisis here, trying to find out how I'm going to pay for food for the month. They closed my case. I think yesterday, I just found out today, so, yeah, I mean, I'm getting a lot of people, like, saying, go Trump, oh, yo, he's so awesome. Nothing. Wastes of life. I have no food now, so this kind of sucks. And you people still support him? Right here.
I'm sorry. I was trying to be serious about this because when you guys sent this to me, I was so appalled as a man. I was so appalled as a man that we are looking at grown men. Never thought I'd see one of them. Never thought I'd see one of them in the wild. You know how you see women online and they jump on, and we've been doing review videos, and occasionally I'll drop one for you guys where is some woman, it'll be a white woman or a Black woman that is aggravated at the fact that Trump is reducing food stamps for people that are able-bodied adults that don't even have children sometimes, or whose children has aged out and they're grown and adults, and now you can no longer continue to populate the earth with degenerates from people that continue to put generational curses on their children. And so we see this. We expect this from women because even though women sit there and they say that, yeah, you know what, we are equal and we advocating for equal and diversity, equity, and inclusion, in reality, they're always going to be the weaker vessel. And so what's understood don't need to be said. But I thought that I'd never, ever, ever in my lifetime see a man. Now, I've known men that has finessed the system through their girl in order to get it. And I'm not even saying that men shouldn't get it. Often at times when we make the argument that we shouldn't have as much grace for women today as we did in yesteryears because women are advocating for being equal. But we didn't really mean that we were going to be turning into sassy men and be complaining about the fact that we don't get food stamps. Man, I'd be damned. Yo, Batman couldn't get me to come out here and say, oh my God, I can't believe Trump is taking my food stamps. Man, you a man. You better go out there and get it. I don't even like seeing homeless people beg me for money and they grown able-bodied men, but I look out for them because I don't know what their circumstance is, but I'm just not going for it, bro.
So white people will never leave Black people alone, and I'm gonna tell you why. White society's obsession with Black people isn't new, it's centuries old. If you think about slavery, colonialism, and exploitation, from the start, white wealth in America was built off the backs of Black bodies. Sugar, cotton, tobacco, rice. This wasn't just economics, it was a system where white people's very identity was shaped around controlling and owning and watching Black bodies. But here's the wild contradiction in all of this, right? While trying to dehumanize us, white culture has always been obsessed with us, right? They copied our music, our style, our language, our food, even our rhythm, all while denying us basic rights. Think about jazz and rock and hip hop and fashion, all born out of black genius, only to be taken, watered down, and sold back to the world with a white face on it. So why can't they just stay away? Because in a system that is built both on exploitation and envy, distance is impossible. White supremacy depends on keeping black people in place, close enough to use, control, or imitate, but never free enough to threaten the hierarchy. It's a sick paradox, fear and fascination at the same damn time. On a psychological level, it's projection. White folks will project their guilt, their fear, and their insecurities onto blackness, and then turn around and crave the very life, culture, and resilience they try to destroy. It's like they want the sauce, but not the struggle. Now, to be real, not every white person acts like this, but the system, the way whiteness has defined itself against blackness, makes it so this obsession keeps resurfacing. Whether it's over policing or culture appropriation or trying to legislate our lives, it always comes back to the old need to dominate mixed with a quiet desire to be what they can't.
Now, the same system that oppressed black people for centuries are now collapsing on everyone. But white America is feeling it for the first time. White America is now crying for skyrocketing rent, food prices, and loans. And black Americans, they say that we've been here before. And welcome to the struggle.
My fellow white people in this country are so embarrassingly weak and pathetic. Can you imagine if we, white Americans, had to overcome slavery and oppression and systemic racism? No, all we have to deal with right now is an absolute criminal, dementia-ridden con man in the White House saying, you're not going to get elections anymore. We're like, oh no, we're not going to get elections anymore. It's all over. We're doomed. Grow a freaking pair. Good Lord. And that is not to say what is happening right now is not serious or that we shouldn't be worried or that we shouldn't be reacting. But this absolute prostrating yourself on the ground, it's over, there's nothing we can do about it nonsense from my fellow white people, grow up. Sorry, I'm super wound up and annoyed this morning because it is so freaking embarrassing. Grow up, literally. Stop being so weak and wimpy. I worked at a polling place all day on the last election, November 2024. And I was working in an area that had a history of problems, like people not being allowed to vote, etc. And there were so many stories that day that gave me so much hope, and I was so hopeful for the outcome to come out a different way than it did. But one of the things that continues to stick in my mind, there was a very elderly black man, probably in his 90s, with a walker, struggling to get into the building to vote. I was a nonpartisan legal advocate outside. I wasn't allowed to go inside, but I did know that they had people there inside that could come out to the car, to the curb for people who were disabled, so they didn't have to physically go in. So I told him, sir, you don't have to go in. I can get someone for you. They can come out and bring it to your car. And he said, no, I was made to pay a poll tax. I was prevented from voting. I have the right to vote now. I'm going to do it. Can we please channel the energy of that amazing man and stop being freaking wusses?
Can someone please explain to me why conservative white men feel they are under attack in the United States? Because the last time I checked, every single U.S. president has been a man. Only one of those men has been a man of color. White men have never been enslaved in this country. White men have never been denied their right to vote in this country, nor has that ever been on the fucking table. Just because people want the same rights that you've always had doesn't mean that you're the victim.
I believe we had to be adults in the most unaffordable time in history. Like what luck is that? Every other generation got starter homes. We got starter packs for depression. Our parents were buying houses for the price of what we pay in rent now. Meanwhile, we're out here financing phones like they're real estate. Groceries, forget it. I walk into the store with $100 and leave with 2 bags of sadness and milk. Eggs cost more than my car insurance. Avocados are basically an investment property. So, and don't even talk to me about rent. Rent is just a cover charge for existing. Like you're paying over $2,000 a month for the privilege of living in a box with suspicious plumbing. You know, utilities out of control, internet, forget it. You know, health insurance. This is an extortion racket. I mean, you can't even get sick, but being alive is already too expensive. Yeah. So yeah, we really got dealt the worst hand. I mean, we were told work hard and you'll have stability. Nah, we worked hard and we got, you know, Spotify Premium, you know, 3 streaming services and trauma. So, you know, other generations got the American dream. We got the American receipt.
What the fuck are we doing, man? Is this how good it's supposed to be? Is this how our lives are supposed to turn out? If you go to college, you got debt until you're 50. If you don't go to college, you don't make enough money. People are fucking tired, man. I was talking to a friend. He's like, I don't even care about getting a paycheck anymore because it's like a slap in the face. You get your fucking paycheck and it's gone the same day, usually gone within an hour. And the minute you pay the bills, but they're already late, then you get an email saying your other bill's ready to be viewed. I couldn't afford the first bill. Now electric's gonna go up, interest rates are going up, energy's going up. Most people don't even want to fucking be here anymore. You wonder why people go to the doctor for mental health problems. You wonder why people are breaking down. Why people go to work and snap, flip out, start screaming at their bosses, and get fired. Why? Because people are at the end of the rope and they can't fucking take it anymore. How much more can you take? What are we gonna do about it? Is this just the way it is? I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't think anybody fucking does. But does anybody have a solution? Is there anything we can do to change this? That's the hard part. No matter how much you work, it ain't a fucking enough. The problem is, and I thought about this today, we don't make enough money. There's not enough money to pay everything and have a penny left over. You're always fucking negative. And what are we gonna do about it? I need somebody to tell me because I don't know anymore.
Why are we even paying for health insurance? I go to the dentist and I'm getting 4 quarters done of teeth cleaning, $1,600. I'm like, great, I have insurance. Blue Cross Blue Shield, the best. I give them all the insurance information. They're like, well, you're gonna have to go ahead and pay for it and then insurance will reimburse you for a portion of it. I'm like, how much? What portion? Well, we'll just have to submit everything to the insurance company and, you know, see what they're gonna reimburse you. We don't know. $1,600 fucking dollars. You know how much the insurance company gave me back? $200. $1,400. I'm paying $300-400 a week for a family insurance plan. What the fuck is going on with health insurance, guys? The deductibles are ridiculous. I honest to God think it would have been cheaper if I just told them I don't have any insurance at all. Can someone please tell me what the hell is going on with health insurance in America? Like, this is getting out of hand. Love ya.
Watch this.
If you still think Donald Trump is a good president, then I'm going to be honest with you. You are either completely uneducated, willfully ignorant, or a racist bigot, or you've got some serious mental issues going on. And this isn't just opinion anymore. This is documented reality. That man has done more damage to the working class than most people even realize. While he waves his flags and talks tough, he's been gutting your rights, your wages, and the protections behind closed doors. He stripped away overtime protections from millions of workers. He gave your bosses the legal right to steal your tips. He sabotaged the labor board that once defended you and handed that power over to billionaires and corporations.
Black privilege is something that we don't talk about often enough. Here I am in the middle of San Francisco in front of Grace Cathedral, about to go into an event with my sorority sisters and stopping to take in a moment and feel all the gratitude. All the gratitude for my sorority, all the gratitude for my wonderful experience at my HBCU Spelman College, which afforded me the privilege to go to Harvard Business School. It doesn't come without pain and sacrifice and work and, hey, lots of mistakes. And I don't think that all of you hear this kind of story from us often enough, because there are those of us out here who are working hard and earning it and really, really grateful.
Do you know how absurd it is that we have property taxes and vehicle registration every year? I want to set a scenario for you real quick, just to see how this feels. Imagine you want a brand new laptop and you go to Best Buy and you spend $1,500 cash and you buy this laptop. And you go home and you open up the laptop that you own, that you worked for and you bought and you owned and paid taxes on, and you own it. And the next day you get a letter in the mail from the IRS, and the IRS goes, hey, we saw you bought a $1,500 laptop. You owe us $10 a month in perpetuity. And if you don't pay the $10 a month, we're gonna take your laptop. So you're basically just renting it from us. What if you rented an apartment and bought a $1,000 sectional couch, and you're so excited and you're sitting on that couch and there's a knock at the door and it's an IRS agent going, hey, we saw you bought a $1,000 couch. You owe us $5 a month in perpetuity. And if you don't pay the $5, we're gonna take your fucking couch. That's what they do with housing. That's what they do with our vehicle. You can work 30 years, pay off your fucking house, it's worth $400,000, and you have to pay $500 a month in perpetuity, and the $500 goes up every couple of years. And if you don't pay it, they can take your fucking house. With our car, we register it, get our license, we pay tax, which I agree with, but then every year we need to renew our tags. And if you don't renew your tags and spend $150 a year, you can get pulled over, potentially lose your license, and be fined. We don't even own our vehicle. We don't even own our houses. These are the most intrusive taxes. It's the freedom part for me that pisses me off. I was just thinking about that. I go, how bizarre would that be? With everything we bought, if we had to pay $1 or $10 or $30 a month, and if we didn't pay the government, they'd come and take our property. But yet we allow that with housing and cars.
White people are the problem. They are the problem. White people ain't White people killed Charlie Kirk. White people enslaved nations of people. White people ruined this country. White people, not black people. Black people built this country from the ground up. White people came and ruined it. The Italian mob, the Russian mob, the Irish mob. America was divided before I came and talked to you. Let me ask you. You were sitting here with people who disagree with Trump and you agree with Trump. Yeah. That's division. Freedom of speech. That's division. I didn't divide you. No, you're saying black and white are different. What's the difference? So what's the difference between me saying that and what's his name? Stephen Johnson saying the Democrats are the problem. Is Stephen Johnson not dividing the country politically? 100%. Is Donald Trump not dividing the country politically? 100%. Is his office not dividing the country politically? 100%. So white people are the problem. Not some black man that's sitting out here asking interviews. I'm not dividing the country. White people are dividing the country. Hold on. And to that point, when was America ever united? Hold on. When was America? We haven't been. That's the fucking problem. Whoever. Hold on. Who caused that? Hold on. Who caused that? Fucking white people. So what should happen to white people for dividing the country?
Think about this. If you have 13 million undocumented immigrants or illegal aliens, if that's what you want to call them, those 13 million people leave. That's 13 million people that are not buying products, that are not going to our groceries, that are not going to our restaurants, buying our gas, that are not paying rent here in our country, that are not buying clothing, they're not shopping at Walmart, they're not shopping, they're gone. So what then happens to American jobs? If you lose 13 million consumers like that, then there's going to be layoffs. Then these businesses are all going to be affected because their revenues go down. If these people are paying $66 billion just in taxes to our states and our federal government, what do you think they're consuming? Those taxes are a tiny percentage of what their actual spend in this country is. It may be less than 10% of what their spend is, which could put their spend, I'm making this up, I have no idea, their spend could be $600 billion that just marches out of the country. No, that is kicked out of the country aggressively and rudely. We don't benefit.
Wow, welcome back to the channel. Now, listening to what every white American has to say, and even the preacher that was speaking about how we have to fear billionaires as the only minority that can cause trouble to America, you'll get to understand that the question of economic prosperity that most white people expected under Trump administration, it's not happening. For the government shutdown, we saw many people, many federal workers were furloughed and they could not get their pay. Those who depended on food stamps were affected because November had some challenges when it comes to giving people the food stamps that they have always depended on to supplement their nutritional needs. And therefore, you'll realize that this rude awakening is coming to white Americans, and they're learning that they needed to listen to black people. For many years, they have looked at blacks and thought that there is nothing good they can ever get from them. And this election of Donald Trump has taught them that even if you don't like what someone has to say, you need to give them a thought, to listen to them and get to understand what they really have to say, if it has a positive or a negative effect on your life. Many white Americans who once supported Donald Trump or viewed his outsider approach as a promising economic shakeup have begun reassessing the material result of his economic policies. Rising cost of living, persistent inflationary pressures, rural economic stagnation, widening wealth inequality, and instability in key sectors such as agriculture and manufacturing have led some to feel that the promise of renewed prosperity has not materialized for them. When they compare the economic experience under Trump to early administrations, Republican or Democrat, they sometimes conclude that they have been more financially strained rather than more secure. This reassessment is often less by abstract policy analysis and more by lived experiences, higher household expenses, unstable job prospects, and increasingly difficult path to upward mobility. Political commentators also note that many Americans who feel economically squeezed attribute their difficulties to the populist economic vision that Trump championed. For example, tariffs that were intended to boost domestic industries often raised costs for consumers or reduced export competitiveness, which disproportionately affected certain white working-class regions. Meanwhile, promises of large-scale manufacturing revival did not yield the level of job creation some communities expected. As these disappointments accumulate, some of Trump's former supporters or people who were economically hopeful during his presidency have begun voicing doubts about whether his policies ultimately improved their situations. Many white Americans who feel newly burdened by economic pressures may assume that other racial groups should react similarly, not realizing that black Americans have long navigated systemic disparities, volatile job markets, and uneven access to opportunities. To many black Americans, these conditions are not new developments, but long-standing realities, and thus they may interpret recent economic shifts differently. In other words, what feels like a sudden decline for some may feel like a continuation of familiar challenges for others. In addition, black political behavior and public discourse often operate through different historical lenses. Black communities have long engaged in political organizing, mutual aid structures, and social critique that may not be immediately visible to those outside those communities. When some white Americans express surprise that black Americans are not complaining, they may be overlooking the fact that black organizations, activists, journalists, and community leaders have been discussing economic inequality and political accountability, just not always in the same venues, with the same tone, or framed around the same political figures. What appears to be silence is often simply unfamiliarity with different forms of civic engagement. Finally, it's important to recognize that political dissatisfaction is not uniformly distributed within any racial group. There are white Americans who feel economically secure under Trump and black Americans who oppose him strongly. There are also people in each group who are different, conflicted, or focused on non-economic issues. The broader point is the different communities interpret political and economic change through distinct historical experiences and expectation. Thus, the perception that white Americans are realizing or black Americans are not complaining about a problem oversimplifies the complex, varied, and sometimes contradictory ways people evaluate political leaders. A more accurate understanding requires appreciating the diversity of perspectives and the historical contexts that shape them. Many black people have learned new strategies of expressing themselves. They have also gone through a lot of discriminations and disparities. And therefore, when they look at the economic prospects that white Americans are having right now, they don't have a lot to say because this is what they have been living through. And that hell that white Americans are complaining about is what they have known as their reality. So when whites are coming out to start saying that, why are blacks not complaining? Why are blacks not going through economic hardships that we are going through? It is not that these people are not suffering. It is that they have gone through this before, and to them, it seems like the same challenge appearing under a different president. So that is why you realize that these issues are happening in this way. But one thing we have to understand is that white people never listen to what blacks had to tell them, but blacks had good ideas about how to address American issues and American problems. Share your thoughts there in the comment section. And if you're watching us for the first time, remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share. Thank you, and let's meet on the next one.